They always said money changes people, but I learned the hard way that greed doesn't just change people, it rots them from the inside out. And when people get rotten enough, they start to believe someone else's death is their lucky break. My name is Marcus Hale, and the day my own family tried to kill me was the same day I stopped being the man they thought they could control. They believed ending my life would make them rich. What they didn't know was that surviving them would make me powerful. It started 3 years ago, on a humid August morning in Savannah, Georgia. I had just signed a deal with a tech investment group that would finally take my small cybersecurity company from a cramped loft office above a vape shop to a multi-state provider. It wasn't glamorous, and we weren't Silicon Valley hotshots, but we had built something solid, something valuable, something my family had ignored for years until they found out how much it was worth. My parents, especially my father, had always treated me as the kid who would never amount to anything. I wasn't the golden child. That title belonged to my cousin Trevor, the trust fund charmer who managed to fail out of 3 colleges and still end up with a brand new Mercedes every birthday. My mother used to say, "Trevor has potential, he's just misunderstood." Meanwhile, I was the one who stayed up all night teaching myself coding from a 7-year-old laptop with a broken space bar. But no one noticed, not until I made something of myself. And by then, it was too late. The first sign that something was wrong came at a Sunday dinner. I had brought a bottle of wine worth more than Trevor's sneakers just to shut everybody up about how Marcus doesn't contribute. When I mentioned the investment deal, the room went silent in a way that wasn't proud or impressed. It was calculating. Eyes narrowed. Conversations shifted around me like I was a puzzle they were suddenly trying to solve. Trevor leaned back in his chair with that smirk he always wore when he wanted something. Aunt Janice touched her necklace 3 times, a nervous tic she had when she lied. My father cleared his throat the way he did before delivering a speech nobody asked for. It was subtle, but I felt it. And later that night, when my mother hugged me a little too tightly and whispered, "Be careful, sweetheart," something inside me stirred, like she was warning me, or maybe she already felt guilty. A week later, I got into my car, turned on the ignition, and the world exploded. They told me later that it was a miracle I survived. They also told me that the gas line must have leaked. But gas lines don't leak when you just had your car serviced 2 days before. Gas lines don't leak in a uniform way that shreds the front end of a Honda like a grenade. Gas lines don't leak in a way that knocks a man unconscious for 2 whole days. Someone had rigged it, and whoever did it was sloppy enough to leave traces. When I woke up in the hospital, dazed, burned, and disoriented, I stared up into the face of my cousin Trevor. He wasn't crying. He wasn't worried. He looked annoyed, like I'd just inconvenienced him. And then, in the corner of the room, I saw my father whispering harshly into his phone, packing like a man whose plans were collapsing in real time. It didn't take a genius to put it together. But I didn't react. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse them. I didn't demand answers. I did the one thing they never expected me to do. I played dead. Not literally, though they probably wished I had, but I pretended to be the same naive, grateful Marcus who couldn't imagine his own family plotting against him. I went quiet. I let the world think the accident had shaken me so deeply that I just wanted peace and distance. When I told everyone I needed time to recover, no one questioned me. When I said I'd be staying at a rental apartment instead of moving back home, they nodded. And when I told them I'd be pulling money out of the company to slow down, they didn't just nod, they smiled. Because they thought they were close to finishing what they'd started. But what they didn't know was that my withdrawals were investments. Every dime was moved strategically. I hired investigators, security experts, financial auditors, attorneys, an entire silent army, all operating behind burner emails and encrypted channels. No one knew my moves. No one saw me coming. I started with Trevor. His bank records were a mess, his credit cards maxed on clubs, cars, and business ventures that existed only as Instagram accounts. But buried in the statements was a $40,000 wire transfer from my father. That wasn't unusual on its own. My father liked to rescue Trevor every time he screwed up. But the timing was perfect. 2 days before my car exploded. Then I found the second transfer. This one from Trevor to a man named Jeremiah Dow, a mechanic who conveniently worked at the garage where I had serviced my car. Jeremiah had a criminal history: assault, extortion, and 2 unsolved arson investigations. Not the kind of guy who accidentally forgets to tighten a gas cap. The 3rd transfer sealed it. A second payment from my father to Jeremiah that cleared the day I woke up from the coma. That was when the anger came, cold, quiet, surgical anger. The kind that no one ever sees until it's too late. I sat in my dark apartment at 2 in the morning, staring at the documents spread over my kitchen table, and whispered, "You should have killed me." But they didn't. And that meant I had time. Months passed. They thought I was healing, retreating, distracting myself. They didn't know I was building a trap around them so tight they'd choke on their own greed. My first move was subtle. I invited Trevor to meet me at a rooftop bar in Atlanta. I wore bandages and a slight limp to play the part. He showed up wearing a $900 hoodie and sunglasses even though it was 8 p.m. Classic Trevor. He hugged me with fake concern, and I hugged him back with real amusement. We talked about life, recovery, business. And then, casually, I mentioned that I had been thinking about selling the company. His eyes lit up so brightly I almost laughed. He tried to play it cool, pretending he didn't care. But the moment I mentioned a 9-figure valuation, he nearly dropped his drink. That was the bait. And he swallowed it whole. 2 weeks later, my father called me for the first time in months. He used his concerned parent voice, the same voice he used when he wanted something. He suggested I consider putting him and the family into the deal, to keep things safe while you recover. Safe? As if I didn't know he meant accessible. I agreed, cheerfully, and that terrified him more than any accusation I could have thrown at him. The next step was legal, with the help of my attorneys. We structured a temporary transfer of certain company rights that looked powerful on paper but were completely meaningless. They thought I was handing over control. What I was really handing them was a beautifully wrapped box of legal liability. Once they signed, everything was set. The fall happened faster than I expected. It started when the FBI raided my father's real estate office. Not because of me, at least not directly, but because of Jeremiah Dow. Turns out Jeremiah had been involved in more than just vehicular explosions. My investigators uncovered enough evidence to tie him to insurance fraud, arson for hire, and at least 3 attempted murders. And when federal agents finally picked him up, he started talking. He told them everything, including who hired him to rig my car. The moment I got the call confirming it, I felt nothing. No joy, no triumph, just a cold exhale of relief, like I had been holding my breath for too long. The news hit Savannah like a hurricane. My father was arrested at the office, handcuffed in front of 3 clients and 2 employees. Aunt Janice fainted in the driveway when the agents searched her house. And Trevor, sweet, stupid Trevor, tried to run. They found him hiding in the laundry room of his ex-girlfriend's apartment. My mother wasn't arrested. But when the truth came out, when she heard the recordings, the bank transfers, the confession, she looked at me as if I were the monster. Maybe because deep down she knew she could have stopped it. Maybe because she didn't. Or maybe because she realized she had raised a son who could survive being murdered and come back stronger. The trial was brutal. My father claimed he was framed. Trevor claimed he didn't know what the money was for. Jeremiah claimed he didn't remember anything conveniently. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all major counts. My father got 30 years, Trevor got 18, Jeremiah got life. But my revenge didn't end with their prison sentences. It continued with their finances. Remember the meaningless rights I gave them. Those rights came with obligations, tax obligations, liability obligations, and regulatory obligations. Obligations they didn't understand. Obligations they violated the moment they signed. The government seized everything. The houses, the cars, the boats, the bank accounts, everything except my mother's personal belongings. She ended up in a small condo near the marshlands, living off the goodwill of a church she hadn't visited in years. People asked why I didn't help her, why I didn't reach out. But she had watched it all unfold. She heard what they planned. She didn't warn me. Love doesn't require perfection, but it does require protection. She chose silence, and silence has consequences. Meanwhile, I rebuilt everything. The company expanded into 3 new states within a year. Investors lined up, drawn in by the publicity surrounding the trial, the story of a tech founder who survived a murder attempt and still closed deals with scars on his hands. I didn't tell them the whole truth. They didn't need it. All they needed was my results. And my results were undeniable. But the real turning point came on a night I'll never forget. I was in my new high-rise apartment overlooking the river, sipping whiskey, reviewing profit reports when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It was my mother. She wrote, "They thought killing you would make them rich. Now you're the one counting their losses. Are you happy?" I stared at the message for a long time. Was I happy? No. Revenge doesn't bring happiness. It brings clarity. It levels the field. It restores the balance that betrayal destroys. Happiness, that comes afterward if it comes at all. I typed my response slowly. I'm not happy, but I'm alive, and they're not my problem anymore. I didn't hear from her again. Months passed, seasons shifted. The company grew, my scars faded, but the memory of their betrayal never left. It sharpened me, strengthened me, reminded me who I had become, the man no one could kill, the man they underestimated, the man who rose from the ashes of their greed. Sometimes I drive past the old neighborhood. I see the for sale signs on houses that used to host family barbecues. I see the empty driveway where Trevor used to show off cars he didn't deserve. I see the street where my father used to walk with his chest puffed out like a king. All gone. And I don't feel guilt. I feel peace. Because they taught me something priceless, something more valuable than the company, the money, the success. They taught me the truth about people. Some will love you, some will use you, some will stand by you, some will wait for you to slip so they can steal everything you built. But the worst ones are the ones who smile at your table while planning your funeral. I stopped setting tables for those people. And I built my own. A bigger one, a stronger one with seats only for the loyal, the honest, the deserving. People think revenge is fire and fury, but real revenge is quiet, methodical, patient. Real revenge doesn't shout, it whispers. And sometimes it whispers through the cold steel bars of a prison cell, as the people who tried to kill you finally understand the cost of underestimating you. I'm not the man they tried to eliminate. I'm the man they created by trying. The one who survived, the one who rebuilt, the one who watched them lose everything while I gained more than they ever imagined. They thought killing me would make them rich. Now I'm the one counting their losses. And I haven't even finished counting.